Yo, man, y'all was shutting me out. Had me knocking down walls, cleaning out toilets. That's not me. That's not what I do. Yo, I'm a gangster. I do gangster shit.
Now you do dumb shit.
Over the course of 2.5 seasons, we have seen a lot of characters transform, but none more so than Marvin Thomas.
Uncle Marvin, my mom's older brother, that nigga never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. But he loyal and tough.
In the early seasons, he definitely lived up to Kanan's narration, that's for sure. Especially in season 1, where he had a complete breakdown with his relationship with Jukebox. He brought Kanan in the game, which ended up with Dozen dead on the street. There was a stash house getting robbed with Kanan, and the list goes on from letting his daughter down to his siblings. But from being pushed out on the sidelines, he's now become Rock's trusted go-to to get shit done and get shit done right. We've seen a complete transformation and role reversal with Lou, and he's shown that he's the man who everybody goes to because he's family first and he refuses to give up on those around him. So these small details definitely can't go unnoticed when it comes to Marvin. They set the early foundation with his character tell us he was always going to be a man who was family first, even if he was reckless, impulsive, and made decisions that had huge consequences. He's now turned into Duke's biggest supporter after he realized he had to confront his inner demons before he could fix his relationships. But now that he's done that, he's not just been able to build his relationship back up with Duke, he's been there for Rock and also Lou, where they now have a joint business venture in Cafe Vu. So where we talk about brothers and keepers, Marvin is definitely his brother's keeper within a family which at this moment in time is torn through betrayal, manipulation, and lack of trust, where Marvin kind of finds himself in the middle trying to mend these relationships. Now it is all good seeing Marvin transform and I'm all for it. You know, he's added a lot of layers to his character, showing he's more than just a gangster who does gangster shit, and he's definitely cemented himself as one of the fan favourites, if not the most popular characters. But the problem is when characters transform in the way Marvin has, when they start to show this softer, caring, and loving side, it also comes with a bit of vulnerability, and that's something you can't afford to have in a high-stakes game that the Thomas family are in, especially with Ronnie loose on the streets. We only have to look at what recently happened with Unique, and Joey Badass did tease his vulnerable side prior to Season 3. From an OG Powers point of view, we can take a look at a few examples, but one that sticks out for me was how Kanan showed his vulnerable side with Tariq St. Patrick, and then we all know what followed. But threats don't just come with those who want you dead. Threats could come with journalists who are fishing for a story, or undercover law enforcement who are looking to put you behind bars. So having said all of that, for the rest of this video it is going to be split into 2 parts. We're going to take a look at how Marvin could be in danger, and how Gerald Moore could completely derail all of his good work and also Duke's. In the second part, we're going to run through how Marvin will be needed more than ever before when it comes to bringing down Ronnie Mathis, because we have had a look at it from Rock's angle, but now it's time to take a look at it from a different viewpoint, because we might need this Marvin back. So with the foundation now being set, what's the situation with Gerald? Now, just to get everybody back up to speed, Gerald was a character who Marvin met in Season 2 in his anger management lessons with Renee. Later in 302, he found himself struggling and back to his old ways. He paged Marvin 911, where he came to his rescue, which is where the writers planted the seed that we need to pay more attention to what Gerald does for work. He's an editor for a newspaper called The Voice, where he writes about arts, entertainment, and culture. Now, with Marvin having the big heart that he's shown he has, he said that he was happy to sit down, listen, and talk. So we saw the two of them sit down, and they both spoke about their girls. And in this moment, Marvin opened up to him about Jukebox and how proud he is. She got up on that stage and outsang her hundreds of girls, if not more. But here's where we get to the interesting part.
She might do you good for your bright entertainment career. I mean, you discovering new talent and shit.
You're not wrong that your daughter could be someone that readers might care about.
We all know those who work for newspapers are always looking for a story. They're looking for the next hit piece that will sell papers. So with Duke's music career about to take off with a girls group, could he write a piece about Duke that either helps or hinders their career? Especially because there is a scene from the season trailer we haven't seen yet, with Marvin turning, and you have to think Gerald has done something fucked up. Although we also can't forget this.
You knew him?
Yeah, everybody know Dean.
Did he sell drugs like the police were saying? Because they're always quick to paint folks with...
And look, I'm not sure about you guys, but him dropping Uzma Dean Tippett and his deaf grandma was very convenient, because when Marvin said everybody knows Dean, Gerald was quick to question whether he was selling drugs. Now, just on a side note, let's look at what happened with Demo when he was being questioned by Agent Tanner. The moment he said Rock during questioning, this rang alarm bells, because Rock is a street name. From Agent Tanner's point of view, they just knew her as Raquel Thomas. So when he heard that for the first time, he decided to circle back and investigate her further. So with Gerald being an editor for a newspaper, You can't tell me he wouldn't have picked up on the same when Marvin said, "Everybody knows Dean." Now again, on a quick side note, I don't believe that Gerald is an undercover cop, although the Wall Street guys that Marvin is selling to potentially could be, so they're the ones to kind of just look out for. But I think Gerald is who he says he is. He's an editor for The Voice, and I think he's just fishing for a story. So let's see what he could run with in the paper, because judging by this scene which is yet to come, I personally think it's something that could definitely hinder Duke's singing career, or maybe exposes Marvin and the Thomas family. So I think Gerald might find himself on the wrong side of Marvin pretty soon. Now this brings me on to Marvin's other side, the gangster that gets gangster shit done, and a side that we have seen in season 3. As much as we've seen this softer and calmer side, let's not forget he did deal with Sal Baselli and did what needed to be done with the help of Demo. Lou told him that he was done doing this shit, especially with it being a job for Rock, so Marvin had no choice but to do this on his own with Demo. Although I don't think it was the smartest idea hitting him outside a church which was heavily surrounded by the Italian mafia, and we still don't know if it's going to have any repercussions either, so that's just a side thought. But with his aggression, I do think Rock will need this side more than ever before because of the threat of Ronnie Mathis. He just got rid of Unique. He's going to go and get that work from Juliana and the Colombians. He's also going to take Kanan under his wing, talk shit, manipulate him, and the narrative. I'm sure he'll also have his own crew, and that means he's just going to get stronger in every single way possible. Although he's definitely a bitch for sucker punching Unique from behind, so fuck Ronnie. Someone definitely needs to take him out. But you see, with him on the streets, everything just becomes a little bit more complex, because you can't control someone like Ronnie, who easily gets triggered. It seems like he might have made deals with DEF CON and definitely high posts in the past, but I don't see him doing that with Rock. I don't see him having a civil conversation one-on-one, like Unique did back in season 1. You can tell the way he speaks about her, he's got this real hate and anger built up inside which he's just waiting to unleash, which probably stems for a few reasons, and I do think they're going to tap into some more backstory in the second half, because they need to show us more layers to Ronnie's character. If he's going to be sticking around until at least minimum the end of season 3, then he just can't be a menace on the streets. We need to see more. For example, learn about who he is, why he is the way he is, and maybe history lessons that take us back in time before he did his 3 years in prison. But having said that, eventually Rock does need to bring him down, and there are a few ways you can do that. I touched on how Tariq helped bring down Kanan in power, and I can see Rock doing the same in raising Kanan, using Kanan to get close enough to Ronnie, which is something I do plan to break down in a bit more detail in a more Kanan and Ronnie focused breakdown. But if there is one person I do want to see come up against Ronnie, it's Marvin. I want to see Ronnie and Marvin in the streets in a fistfight, one-on-one, because there is no way Marvin is walking away from that fight without making sure he's dead. That's the mistake Unique made. He beat his brother and proved he was the big dog, but he didn't crush his enemy totally, nor 15 from the 48 laws of power. But Marvin would definitely not make the same mistake. If Rock asks him to get the job done, you can be damn sure he will get the job done. Now, whether we actually see Marvin versus Ronnie, who knows? I do think a lot of us would like to see it, but as I mentioned with the Kanan point, I do think to bring down Ronnie it might require a bit more finesse. It will have to be a very similar move to what we saw with Tariq and Tasha Paul. Use someone that can get close to him, and someone who Ronnie will drop his guard around, because Ronnie will be expecting Rock to hit him with the best. So let's see how this all plays out, because Ronnie will be a tough proposition in the second half. He's going to give Rock 1 or 2 things to think about, and he is going to ruffle a few more feathers, that's for sure. So drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section, and let me know how you see this story playing out with Gerald Moore at The Voice. And also, will we see Marvin versus Ronnie? Will Marvin's muscle be used to bring down Ronnie Mathis? Drop all your thoughts and predictions down below in the comment section, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.